Welcome to the Kam Johal show. We have another exciting episode for you. And today my guest is a business consultant. So all of you that have your own businesses or hoping to get into business will have a major interest in what we have to talk about. As you know, I'm a lifelong entrepreneur, so I'm fascinated by other people's ideas of how business ought to be run. So we're going to have some good tips for you today. So my guest today is none other than Shah Hussain.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Yeah, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, tell me, you have a business consultancy service now based here in Birmingham?
Yes, we've been running a business consultancy for, I've been doing business consultancy for many years, mainly on the accountancy side. And over the last couple of years, I've developed my own consultancy, which is developing end-to-end business solutions for commercial corporate type clients. So
fantastic. So before coming into that, you spent 10 years in commercial banking?
In finance, yeah.
Okay.
Working for one of the major retailers, RBS, also working for different departments within commercial and corporate, and dealing with business related queries.
Okay, so you have a formal education?
Yes, graduate. Yeah.
10 years in corporate life?
Yes.
What was it like starting your own business?
I did start my property business alongside my brother many years ago, around the age of about 22.
Mm-hmm.
We were always buying and selling property, and it was something that fascinated me.
That's in our blood, right?
So I think with the Asian background, the natural thing was you make money in business, and you buy property.
Invest in property.
As you know, property has changed massively over the many years. So it's not as straightforward as buying a property and putting it on rent anymore.
No, well, it used to be for lazy money, didn't it? So you said, you made some money, and a property was a great home for investing because you got returns and got capital growth.
Yes.
Okay, so what I really want to discuss is, so as you well know, a whole host of people in our own community run their own small businesses.
Yes.
And you consult those businesses. So typically turnover up to about 25 million?
Yes.
So small business is where your strengths lie, right?
Yes.
So one of the things that business will be having real problems with, obviously, is the present climate, COVID. Yeah. So, if I was sitting on my sofa watching right now, and I'm trying to run a business, perhaps it's in hospitality and it's literally closed. Yeah. What advice are you giving to your clients right now? How do they cope?
Well, when the pandemic hit, obviously we had to make a lot of decisions. And as a consultant, when your client comes to you and says, what do we do in these circumstances? Because so much was up in the air, we were learning as we were going along.
Sure.
So the first thing we done was completely cut all changes to the business. Any strategic plans that we had, everything was put on hold.
Okay.
Then it was a case of how can we reduce our cost base very quickly. So looking at every single expense and seeing if there's any way of reducing that down. Now obviously with retail businesses, they've got a lot of overheads, but then when you're talking about other small businesses, they can predominantly adapt. So businesses which were online, they might reduce their stock levels. They might be able to cut cost in a different way.
Okay.
Obviously the furlough system was announced very quickly, so there was no need to make any staff redundancies. So you could protect, but they also had an opportunity to look at their staffing levels and see if there was any reductions there. Then it was more of a case where, right, how can we generate some business throughout this? Obviously you can't, as a retailer, some retail businesses weren't able to serve or weren't able to do anything, but it's what else can you do? What can you do to survive, and how can we generate income? Because you have to keep that gap between the cost base and the income base.
Yes.
Now, as soon as the lockdown happened, the income base had gone here, so you've got to compensate, bring the cost base in line, and slowly try to re-establish the the income base from somewhere. Now, a lot of the businesses were adaptable, and obviously with the grants and support that the government came in with, they were able to adapt, and we were able to hold on to a large proportion of those businesses. But then we had other businesses which they saw an opportunity because they were online based. They were able to adapt quicker and able to put in opportunities which are going to allow them to grow faster.
Yes.
So it was a catch-22. You've got half the businesses which are struggling, and then you've got another set of businesses which are thriving.
Yeah, because obviously what's happened is the market has changed overnight, hasn't it?
Absolutely. So everything which was pre 2020 has gone, and there's also going to be a new commercial landscape when we come out of this.
Okay, so let's stick to the present for now.
Yeah.
Because if I was an entrepreneur watching this now,
yeah,
and we've had a long time relatively, because this thing started in March and we're still going through it.
Absolutely.
So what would you be doing today?
Today it's about obviously we know we're going to be in lockdown. We're going to be going in and out of lockdown over the next, at least I would say, 12 months.
Okay.
Based on the figures, based on looking at the analysis, based on what's going on in the financial markets and what's coming moving forward, I see us going up and down in various tiers. So every small business now
let me just interrupt you for 1 second.
Go on.
So the key thing for me there is you said 12 months.
Yeah.
The government is telling us that everything will be back to normal by Easter, March. So that's a big difference between, so that's first quarter.
Yeah.
So you're saying this time next year?
Absolutely, because even if they open everything, so let's look at the next 12 months.
Okay.
So we come out of Christmas, we've spent all of this money that the government have allowed us now to go out and spend over Christmas. In January is generally a slow month anyway. People are then filing their tax returns. They're going through that phase, and in February most of the major decisions in terms of what's going on and which way the economy is moving are usually made in business.
Yeah, they're purchasing what they're going to do for the next year, aren't they?
Absolutely. Now nothing's really going to relatively change now up till March. It's going to take them another 3 to 6 months then to get a vaccine out to every single person across the UK, and obviously slow down the spread of the virus. It will then naturally then take another 3 to 6 months after that period for the economy to recover.
Okay.
And the growth levels are still not going to be there, because if the employment levels have gone up and people have got less disposable cash, which is what's going to happen next year, then they're not going to be spending as much.
Okay, so again, let's just break that down, because there's a lot of information there.
Of course, yeah.
Right, so what you're saying is, so when I hear on the news that, you know what, by March next year, we'll be all back to normal.
Yeah.
What you're saying is, so we could have easing of lockdowns.
Yeah.
We could have better movement.
Yeah.
But the fact is that business will still continue to be affected until at least at the end of the year.
Absolutely. So people are not going to see a massive change or a huge change in terms of business until towards the end of next year.
Okay, and let me paint a scenario for you then.
Go on.
So we've had since March, people haven't been able to do social functions, for instance.
Absolutely.
So weddings haven't happened.
Yeah.
Right? And parties haven't happened.
Yeah.
So there's all this pent-up demand.
Yes.
Because that's what economy is all about, right?
Absolutely.
Supply and demand.
Yeah.
So, there could be, in certain industries again, a huge boom, couldn't there? Because
there's going to be a massive boom in terms of the Asian wedding industry defies all logic.
Yes.
It's a boom, and it's always been a boom. It's just a case of when it happens, it just all tends to happen
at the same time.
Yeah. And it looks like the economy is just blowing up, and then suddenly it just goes.
Yeah, because so what we're saying is, again, and we started on this, that some of your clients have seen business boom.
Yes.
And others have seen decline. So it is a shift in the landscape of business. So, if you are in the wedding supply business or parties, hospitality next year, soon as that economy opens, that could be seen a huge demand.
Massive opportunity.
Yeah.
And I see there's a couple of few areas where we see real growth, and obviously that's one area where there's going to be massive growth. People, the Airbnb and property market, the serviced accommodation market, which has taken a massive hit due to what's been going on, because there's going to be an over demand of people wanting to go places because of the lockdown.
So hotels and holidays. Again, hospitality, flights, holidays,
flights. People just want to go out. And also things like festivals and events wherever it's safe to do so, when the government allow people back into sporting arenas and music festivals and things like that, there is going to be a massive growth in those kind of areas.
Okay.
People would have then got used to ordering everything. They're already used to ordering everything online, but that shift now in terms of ordering essential things online has been massive. So they may never go back to walking into a place.
Yeah, sure. So interesting, we talked about holidays.
Yeah.
And I have a view, and this week a major airline's come out and said that unless you've been vaccinated, they will not allow you to fly. Do you think that will become a new norm, that you have to be vaccinated in order to travel internationally?
Yeah, I was speaking to one of my friends. He's flying to Dubai next week, and he's told me he's got to get 2 tests, one on this side and one on the other side.
Yeah, that's different though, isn't it? Testing's different.
Yeah.
So in order, and the airline industry in this country has been crying out for that, to replace quarantine and get tested at either end.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm talking about, so the vaccine's now available.
Yeah.
Early next year, some point.
Yes.
And so do you think, what's your opinion of, will we be allowed to fly without being vaccinated?
I don't think you will, because the vaccination has come into play, and the whole purpose of them spending so much money on this vaccination is to get it into every single human being.
Okay, we digress now. So are you a conspiracy theorist that it's a control element, or
whether
is it
it's a control
disease?
element, but one thing, the vaccine is going to be essential. You're not going to be able to, unless you've been vaccinated, travel is going to be completely off the radar.
Okay.
And I think you're going to find it very difficult to travel anywhere. And I agree with what you're saying.
Okay, so
in terms of the vaccine,
let's see what happens, right?
Absolutely, that's going to be interesting.
But let's get back to where we were. So small businesses, some of them are struggling, some of them are booming.
Yeah.
And so what you see is that, it's at least a year before any semblance of what we could call normal.
Yes, absolutely.
Could come back. And then some of those industries, some of those habits have changed permanently. Some of those industries are gone.
Yes.
And they will never return.
Yes.
Right? So what advice would you give in terms of, so there's opportunities now to start a new business.
Yes.
Because if you were thinking about starting, hospitality might be a great business to start right now, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What other businesses would you be looking at? So if I was a young entrepreneur or an old entrepreneur, what would you be looking to go into? What kind of fields?
The main fields that everyone seems to be edging towards. We were looking at a lot of e-commerce types businesses.
Sure. So anything with an e-commerce facility.
Yeah, I think the world has come to realize that without e-commerce now, I mean, those businesses have been booming all the way through the pandemic, and so they stopped as soon as their marketing stopped. They came back and they wanted to inject even more money into marketing while people were sitting at home. So they were able to capitalize on the growth in those industries. So because of ease and convenience and the way smartphones are set up now, you can pretty much within a couple of clicks, you haven't even realized you've ordered 2 sets of toothbrushes, whatever the item is. You've already ordered it before you've even had a chance to.
Of course.
So,
but look, we're not in those industries. Our community is not in. We're not the multi-billion-dollar, e-commerce industries. We've got a sweet shop.
Yeah.
Right, we've got a corner shop, we've got a butcher's shop.
Yeah.
So those kind of organisations can't benefit from any of that kind of stuff.
It's the delivery element. What they've got to look at is what services can they deliver to the customer, because the customer is looking for a different type of service now. They just don't have the time, and time is getting more and more limited. So for their customers, they need to actually talk to their customers and say, what else can I do? What other service can I offer you?
Yeah.
Now, a prime example is the meat business. Everyone, the amount of chicken that is sold to across Asian business and the Asian community is absolutely phenomenal.
Yes.
It goes at a rate absolutely unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, it's in the main supermarkets, but people still want to be supplied by their local chicken
Yeah,
suppliers.
absolutely.
Now, how many of those actually deliver, and how many? We were just talking about this to someone else whose actual idea was, rather than having just eat, have just meat.
Brilliant. Yes.
So he says, why don't we create an app and connect all the butchers and allow everyone to have their meat delivered, just meat, or it might be just meat and a few essential items, but it's just purely focusing on that market and bringing the butchers in.
Yeah.
So it's just how do you make your customer feel like he's $1 million and he's still valuable, because you've already put all the brand loyalty in attracting that customer.
Yes.
They're already coming to your shop to buy other things. But right now, they might not just have a need, or they can't physically get into your shop.
Yeah. So the other part of that, the other side of the coin, Shah, is this, that, our local businesses need our support, don't they?
Absolutely.
So sometimes, yes, it is easy to click.
Yeah.
But, that's already a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah.
And a business. But the butcher on the corner, he depends on you, doesn't he?
Absolutely.
And I'm a big believer in the fact that we should support our local businesses.
Totally agree. And you have to support the local businesses. You have to physically make the effort to go and buy your stuff from local shops, because at the end of the day, the corporates are always going to be, in some shape or form, going to be okay. Yeah. They're going to get government funding. They're going to get support. They've also already got cash reserves. Yeah. But the individual who's running his shop, you're pretty much, his livelihood depends on you walking through the door.
Yeah, local traffic, right?
Yeah. Now, obviously, with the lockdown restrictions, you can't break those kind of rules.
Of course.
But wherever you can support your local business, you should definitely be out there and spending money. And I'm a firm believer that you should be supporting buying as much as you can from your local community.
Okay, so the idea I get from what we're talking about today is that our viewers could go, so you could go to your local butcher, for instance, is the example that we're using. And if you want online services, or if there's something that they don't do, instead of going to a multinational and ordering it, why not ask your butcher, say, listen, can you do online deliveries? Make the suggestion, right? As a customer, say, look, I'm a local customer. Yeah. I want to stay with you guys, but you don't do this service.
Yes, and that is a fantastic idea. Just if everyone walked into their local business, or when they've had an opportunity to speak, and say, look, this is what I need. Yeah. Can you get this item? Can you get this item? And it's something that I need on a consistent basis. So.
Okay. So for our business owner viewers, do a survey. Ask your clients what it is that you can do to keep their custom.
Absolutely.
Okay. As a customer, go and tell your local supplier. So if you've got your favourite kebab shop, and you want it delivered at home and they don't do it, ask them.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you should ask them, how can we make it? Yeah. How can you make it easier for me? It's all about convenience. That's why the convenience store business is so booming.
And that's where a lot of our success came from. Back in the day,
our
community opened corner shops and small businesses, and we opened for extended hours.
Where no one else would.
Yeah, no one. We opened for 7 days. Yeah. So we pioneered that.
Absolutely.
In this country.
And having run a convenience store in the family business, ran a post office, and obviously was involved in that business for 5 years, wholesaling and retailing. It was long hours. Yeah. You're only making anywhere between 15 and 20% on the margins, and you had to put in a lot of energy. But customers it was fast-paced consumable goods, so it was a constantly trying to fill the shelves and constantly trying to keep the customers happy, and the customers have still got to buy those products. It's just that you've got to make it easy for them not to go anywhere else, and it's the customer service experience.
I was going to say that, Shah. The thing is this, that, you know, it's all very well sitting in front of your computer or your phone and clicking away
Yeah.
and buying something. But there's no customer experience there, is there?
No.
So as a retailer
Yeah.
or a business, I could make that experience really exceptional, couldn't I, for my clients?
Absolutely. I mean, we had a convenience store guy during the lockdown period. He dressed up in a Superman costume.
Okay.
And literally was delivering groceries to his customers,
Yeah.
essential items, to especially the elderly and people who couldn't get out, and that attracted a hell of a lot. And when lockdown does end, they're more likely to come and spend their money,
Of course.
because they will remember during the hard times, those people were around and they helped us.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, this lockdown has brought a lot of communities together.
Yes.
And now is the time to keep those communities and rebuild the small business.
Yeah, because small businesses, owners have always worked hard.
Yes.
So the thing is that what we now need to do is, as we emerge, is to adapt again.
Yes.
And ask the clients what they want, you know, tell the retailers what you want, and keep those businesses local. Because it's very, very important, you know, very important that this money is flowing within your community.
Yeah.
Because if you're spending at the local corner shop,
Yeah.
that he's then taking his profits and spending them at other businesses.
Yes, absolutely.
And, you know, the big retailers, the big multinationals don't need your money.
That's right.
Yeah, the local corner shop does.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And if we can do that, then we can really, like you said, the
Reboot.
communities that we built, we can carry on.
It's not just the communities, it's rebuilding from the ground up.
Yeah.
And this is something I'm very passionate about. Every business, every new startup, we look like it's a brand new baby, and we love watching it grow and watching it turn into something amazing.
Yeah.
And that's the real buzz of helping someone at that level and watching them grow and seeing them develop, and no one deserves that more than the small business retailer, especially after everything what's happened in this pandemic.
Absolutely. So we look after our own community.
Yeah.
And our community looks after us, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Always.
So tell me something. So as businesses, there's been grants that have been made available, and the government's been very generous.
Yes.
You know, obviously there are people that slip through the net.
Yes.
You know, and government can't look after everybody. And I think the Chancellor actually stated that.
Yes.
That we can't guarantee every job. We can't look after everybody.
Yeah.
So you've got extremely long experience in commercial lending.
Yes.
So over the next 12, 18 months, where do you see, you know, interest rates, and where do you see access to finance for small businesses?
Well, we just recently had a case whereby there was a really good business which was a franchise, online tutoring, but also face-to-face tutoring. So they weren't predominantly trying to push all of their business online. It was face-to-face and having a team of tutors which the franchisee would build. Now, they said that their franchisee can't get the finance anymore because all of the mainstream banks have stopped lending to these types of franchisees. So we are seeing a slowdown from the major banks from the lending perspective. So it's kind of like what happened in 2007 when all of the major banks just suddenly just shut up shop.
Yes.
And it went back to the dark ages. But the difference is now there's already a team of secondary lenders and third lenders who are still willing to back those, probably at a slightly higher interest rate.
Sure.
But they are still willing to lend, assuming the propositions and everything fits well.
So the thing is that, you know, most people will bank with the major 4 or 5 lenders.
That's right.
So the thing is, the advice seems to be from Shah, and I concur, having some experience of this business, that go and see a commercial loan advisor.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because if you imagine the sheer volume of traffic and demand that goes to the local, the major banks, you know, they can afford to be a lot more picky, can't they?
Yes. And they're obviously controlled a lot more by government.
Yes.
As you saw with the small business loans, they're not able to give you that lending. It's better for you to find another lender who is willing to give it to you, or you might find an investor who's willing to lend you that that money for a short period of time, if it all makes sense.
Yes.
So you've got to explore all of the options before you decide that to give up.
Well, again, entrepreneurs, small business owners are, very hardworking.
Yeah.
They will look at alternatives,
Yeah.
and think about those. But don't take no from your major bank.
Absolutely.
So peer-to-peer lending,
Yeah.
right, is huge, isn't it?
Yeah.
And smaller lenders
Yeah.
that are not on the high street, you won't have heard of them. And I guess with technology now, there are a lot more of those than there's ever been.
Yeah. So with those, there's a lot of people that are coming directly into the market. The likes of Funding Circle. There's second peer-to-peer lenders which are coming in app based, coming direct to consumers, where you could raise capital in a different way. So most of those are accessible to the open market, but then looking at those options alongside someone who operates in commercial will allow the customer to really find out what the funding options are. They've got to pick the one which suits them the best for the long run.
Of course.
Because as you know, with lending, it's always got to be paid back. So the customer has to have a clear-cut plan in terms of how he's going to pay that back, but they need that funding to get the businesses going. And right now is a fantastic time to start a new business because you've got all the time in the world.
Interesting. So I'm a big advocate.
Yeah.
So during the last big recession, the financial crisis, we didn't have WhatsApp before that.
No.
Uber, Pinterest, and there's dozens of other companies that started during the last recession.
Yeah.
So I have my own views in terms of why you should start a business in a recession.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Why would I start a business in a recession?
Well, the last time a recession hit, with obviously Lehman's in 2007, I was massively underprepared and over leveraged.
Okay.
And from a property perspective, it made us really look at everything from a risk adverse point of view, but also the opportunities that came out of those recessions were huge, and some of those opportunities we took, and some of our businesses that we've created have come out of those.
So let's go through some of those things, right?
Yeah.
So prices, whether it's property or services that you're buying, are cheaper in a recession, right?
Yes. Generally, you're going to find there's going to be a correction.
Yeah.
So as you know, with property prices, they tend to slow down and go through a period purely because the lending.
That's right.
So as soon as finance falls, the property prices tend to come down.
Yes.
But the difference is, because of the way the UK economy is now, there are still people who are sitting on a huge amount of cash reserves, and the bigger businesses have got those cash reserves, and there are investors out there that can still keep the property prices.
But generally speaking, it'd be more competitive. Let's say, right?
And
so there's more access to property at more competitive rates.
Yeah.
There's more access to skilled staff.
Yes.
At better rates. Yeah.
Yeah. So one of our clients who's looking to do a massive expansion on his business, I said to him, this is the best time to go and pick up the best salespeople.
That's right.
Who may have been made redundant, who are looking for an opportunity, but they've got a huge amount of skills.
Yes.
And you would normally not be able to acquire that person right here, right now, at that cost, because they usually on a really good salary. But there's an opportunity to give someone a job and also work with them over the next couple of years and get them back to where they want to be, and also give them an opportunity to try something new.
Yeah, it's interesting. Our last hire, which was about 8 weeks ago, was exactly that particular individual worked for somebody that I knew.
Yeah.
And I knew that they were good at their job. I'd already met them.
Yeah.
And then I was looking, I was on LinkedIn, and I realised from their profile that they were looking for opportunities.
Yeah.
So, the phone call went in.
Yeah.
I mean, normally I would never poach a member of staff from one of my friends.
Of course.
Right?
But this happened,
and I already knew the individual.
All right.
And so, she's been working with us for 2 months now.
Fantastic.
So that's an opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, if you can give a job to someone and give them another opportunity, it stabilizes stabilizes the economy. You're doing your bit to grow your own business and help someone else in the process. So it's not just the services, it's not just the opportunities, it's the people as well.
Okay, so you could have a really bullish attitude right now if you're okay, if your balance sheet's strong.
Yes.
Right, which is layman's term for that is cash in the bank.
Yes.
You could really attack your competitors.
Everything.
You could expand your business.
Yeah, I mean, this as Michael Jackson said, this is it. And the opportunity is here, and it's going to be here. Like you must have said, everyone's probably heard of that company which purchased a multi-million pound company as soon as the pound dropped on Brexit night.
Yeah.
To a considerable low, they were able to come in and purchase that business, which normally would have cost them X hundred millions more than what it would have cost them that night.
Mm-hmm.
So within 24 hours, they were probably going to buy it anyway.
Yes.
And they had already done their due diligence, but they saw that opportunity and they were able to move. And it's about using the cash reserves that you have.
Yeah.
Looking at the opportunities.
Okay.
Looking at the experience that you have and the experience of people around you, and saying, what can I get into now that's gonna be here to stay, but also I can acquire at a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, so look at your competitors. Which one of them do you think is coming up to retirement? Because the other thing that happens obviously is if somebody's going to retire in 2 or 3 years' time, that when there's a downturn, that's accelerated. They think, I'm going to go now.
Absolutely.
So look at your competition.
Yeah.
See what they're doing, and can you acquire one of those?
Acquire some of their solutions. Put more money into marketing. Drive more business, and see what else you can do which can make your proposition better to the marketplace.
Yeah.
Because it's all about the value. Whatever value you give to the client,
of course,
he's always going to remember, and it's the age-old thing. Look after your customer, and the customer will always come back.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about what a business can do.
Yeah.
And what a great opportunity it is.
Yeah.
The other thing is obviously is that when business is slow, it's a great time to review your suppliers, review your business, review your marketing, etc. So there's nothing else to do.
Of course.
And as we come towards the end of the year, generally business slows down, apart from obviously those businesses that boom at Christmas.
Yeah.
So it's a great time to have a review and really kind of clean up your business.
Yeah. And now's a good time, in the lockdown, a lot of our businesses had a re-look at everything, tidy up the procedures, tidy up all the stuff that you just don't get around to doing. Housekeeping, administration, finance, accountancy, whatever the issue is in your own business. And also make sure that you're on a really good foundation to move forward. So when the business does start, you're able to you've got the capacity to then upscale as you need to. And as long as you've got the foundations and all of the admin stuff under control, then you've got an opportunity.
Shah, you guys consult to business.
Yeah.
And I do a similar role to consulting and mentoring businesses. What would you say are the biggest mistakes that people make when they run their business?
The hardest thing is for them to step outside of their business.
Yeah. And
take a bird's eye view.
Okay, so now I would term that as working on their business rather than in their business, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. So that is a particular problem, I think, within our own community businesses.
Massively. And as you know, with a lot of the Asian businesses, it's all based on the family and the structure, and everyone seems to work together and build something.
Okay.
But the problem is you have to step back. You have to empower people. And you also need to have the systems and the processes and the solutions which are going to allow that business to grow, and while you're not there. And if you're not able to step back, you're not going to allow that business to take off.
Okay.
Go on.
I think it's good to have the family involved in the initial stages.
Yes.
Because family will work for free.
Absolutely.
They see the big picture.
Of course.
And within our own community, and any community,
Yeah.
trust is a big issue.
Massive.
Right? So, we see outsiders as untrustable,
Yeah.
and we see our family as trustable. So, in the early stages, it's
Yeah.
a good thing, isn't it, to have family involved?
Absolutely,
Right?
yeah.
And then I think where, you can fail as a business owner
Yeah.
is not to then realise that you're at a different stage in your business.
And it's realizing when you're getting too busy, where you can't manage everything yourself. Also, it's about quality of life.
Yes.
Most business owners are married to the business, and it has massive impact on the family.
Yes.
So it's really important that at some point they will get to a point where they need to step back. They just don't know how they're going to let go of control as well.
Yeah.
And when you do reach that point, this is exactly the kind of level that we come in and consult on, is making sure that the business is still solid.
Yeah.
It still is able to grow. The client still has an element of control.
Yes.
Control is one of the major things. And then the second thing is trust.
Yes.
And the third thing is they have this misconception in their head that the business won't run without them. But if the right people are there, and this is where family is important.
Yes.
They should always, in every business, there's always the person who owns the business, but there's always another person, the operations.
Yes.
And that should be, it should be either a close friend, a close family member, and it should be someone that you can totally trust and rely on. Because you should be able to then walk away from that business and let them take control. And be comfortable in their skills.
So again, lots of information there. So let's unpack some of that.
Yeah.
Right. So what I would say is, start to think about where you want this business to end up.
Yes.
Right.
The end goal.
Begin with the end in mind.
Yeah.
So it could be that you want this business and you're going to retire and sell it.
Yeah.
It could be that you want to hand it over to family.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So both of those things require different planning.
Of course.
Then the other thing, obviously, is that you want to continue to run the business and have management do the day-to-day.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
So
each one is different.
Very different.
So until you know where the client wants to be, say in a hypothetical scenario in 5 years' time, whether they even still want to be part of the business.
Yeah.
Also, as you know, with the way Asian culture is now and things changing, the younger generation don't want to be part of the traditional businesses. There's so many other opportunities and so many other things. So the key part here is to establish within that family, do they want to hand that business over to a family member? And does that person want to also take over?
Yeah, do they actually want it?
Do they actually want it? And the 50-50, there's a 50-50 split. Half of them do want it, and they're second, third, fourth, fifth generation, and they want to take it for many, many years. And then there's others who want to take, there's an in-between category as well, whereby you've got an individual who wants the business, but they want to take it in a completely different direction.
Yeah, but look, the thing is this, that everybody's individual, right? Everybody's case is different. So that's where they should go and seek some advice.
Yes.
Whether it's through their professional advisors, their tax advisor, their accountant, come to business consultants such as yourselves.
The first thing they should always speak to is their accountant.
Yeah.
But the problem is most of the accountants are only looking at everything from a financial perspective.
Yeah.
They're not business advisors. They're not able to look at the business and say, right, what is the strategy has got to come first. The accounts comes as the secondary part.
I was going to say, there's accountants and there's accountants. There's no disrespect to anybody.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're not here to knock anybody.
Yeah.
But look at, so yes, that individual does your accounts.
Yeah.
But do you actually get business advice? And are you planning business? And are you raising business plans with that firm or that individual that you're using?
Yeah, and it's, there's a lot of great accountants, as you know.
Definitely.
And they will have the strategy, and they'll also make it fit from a tax point of view, from a financial point of view, and also from a business point of view. But everything has to be in sync, and there has to be a clear-cut plan. So if there is an exit strategy, it needs to be clear and defined, and the business owner needs to be working towards that. But you also got to remember, Kam, a lot of the accountancy happens after the event.
Yes, that's right.
So the accounts are then made for the previous 12 months, 9 months after the event.
Yes.
So the business advisor has to have priority, or the accountant has to be looking at it from a strategic point of view, 12, 18, 24 months in advance.
Yeah, I think the other thing is that's really important, and I've seen this on a number of occasions, where clients are looking for professional advisors to tell them what to do.
Yes.
That's not his job or her job. If you want to retire in 5 years' time, that's your job to tell your advisor, I'm thinking of retiring in 5 years' time. What should we do?
What are the options?
Yeah, I'm thinking of handing my business over to my children.
Yeah.
What are my options?
Absolutely.
They're not going to provide that solution for you.
Yeah.
That's not their job, and that's not their area of expertise. Nobody knows what it is that you want, right?
Yeah, and this is where, when I was working as a consultant, the coaching came as a natural part, because a consultant is someone different from a coach.
Definitely.
The consultant is the one that's telling you the solution based on what you've told him.
That's right.
Is the problem.
Yes.
But the coach is actually working with you to actually work out whether, if you retiring in 5 years is really what you actually want to do.
That's right. So the term garbage in, garbage out. If you tell your consultant absolute trash, he's going to give you a trash solution, right?
Absolutely. If you don't give him the right information,
and
there seems to be this, we can't seem to tell him everything what we really want to do. You've got to be 100% open and honest and transparent with your advisors, so they can give you the best advice. And this is what we encourage in all our clients. And once we've got a clear understanding of the reasons why they want to do what they want to do, and also an understanding of where they would like to go, we're able to then build the consultancy solutions end to end, and reverse engineer the positions, and also reverse engineer the plan, and make sure that the plan fits. But also things like the pandemic happened, so now people's retirement plans have suddenly all changed.
Got a shift, haven't they?
Yeah. So it's about re-looking at the plan all the time and saying, is this exactly where we want to be? Has something changed, or is the core part of the plan still the same? And with your advisors and your accountants, you're able to establish and make a plan for the long run. And this is where a lot of small business owners need to be a bit more honest and a bit more pushy with their accountants and their advisors, because ultimately they're the ones that they need to get very, very clear where they're going.
Very interesting. So the thing is, have a discussion with your family, or yourself, or whoever it is that you discuss things with, not necessarily your professional advisors. So what do we want this business to do? We discuss small business. The problem is that very often, they're so busy in the day-to-day running of the business that they forget to lift up and actually look into the distance, right?
Absolutely.
And that's vitally important, isn't it?
Absolutely. And if they come out of their business and just for whether they take a week off, and just let the business run, and just to see what happens, so they can see how strong or weak their business is, they will be able to see where all the problems are.
That's right.
And they're then able to put in. They might not have the best solutions, but they might have a solution which fixes the problem, and won't allow that particular problem to happen again. But that's just making the business stronger.
Okay, so I think it's Michael Gerber in his book, The EMyth, says that, go away from your business, and when you come back, if it's bigger than when you left it, you have a business. If it's smaller, you just own a job. So, don't own a job. Never ever be in that business. If it depends on you, it's not a real business, right?
Absolutely. If your business is like solely reliant on you, then it's not a business. And most businesses now are being orchestrated in a way where it runs completely independently, and as long as certain key factors happen, it will always generate, and then you're able to have a consistent form of income. And the biggest words in the community at the moment is generating enough cash flow. Having more cash flow will ultimately improve the small business owner's position.
And it's a vital piece of information, because small business owners, you know, or the textbooks all talk about profit, right?
Yeah.
You can have a business that doesn't make any money.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can have a profitable business where if cash flow dries up, you're dead, aren't you?
You're dead. Absolutely.
Right? So cash flow really is king over profit.
Cash flow, and it takes a while to understand this, because these are the things that are not taught to you.
No, definitely not.
And most Asian entrepreneurs, they just like to dive in first.
It's gut instinct, isn't it?
And most entrepreneurs are like this. They jump out of the plane and they grab the parachute on the way down.
Yeah.
But once you understand how cash flow works,
yes,
generating one form or another form of cash flow, whether it's in your business or an external source, can have a massive impact on the overall positioning of the business.
Yeah.
And the more flows of cash flow you have, suddenly it starts giving you the freedom and the opportunities to go and explore other things, the things that you normally would not have looked at in your existing business. And this is what we're advocates of, is finding out the reasons for the goals, the reasons why they want to retire and how they're going to retire, and also making sure that all of their eggs are not in one basket.
Sure.
Because as you know, if your eggs were all in one basket here, especially with this COVID scenario, you're going to struggle.
Yes, definitely.
And if you've got 2 or 3 different forms of incomes, you can also then dedicate time to the business which is at that time the most relevant.
Yeah.
So if you can't, if you were a fitness instructor and you couldn't do your fitness inside the gym, suddenly the online Zoom and the online world of doing fitness online suddenly became an opportunity.
Yeah.
So it's the same business, but it's just gone in a different format.
And we kind of come back, haven't we, full circle.
Yeah.
So, you know, multiple streams of income is what it's called, I think.
Absolutely.
And they say that the average millionaire has, I think, 7 streams of income or something like that.
7. Yeah.
They certainly have more than one, right?
Yeah.
So when we were talking about making money in business and investing in property, which a lot of our community's done, that's what you're actually doing, aren't you?
You're actually doing that.
Yeah.
But there's such a love for property in the UK. Obviously, having grown up playing Monopoly and always, you know, buying as many properties and building hotels, this just seems to be the natural thing. But there's other forms of investments.
Absolutely.
Getting the right advice, there's always opportunity. But you know, it's about how you utilize your investment strategy.
Yes.
Low risk, medium risk, high risk. You don't put everything into one thing. Obviously, property is low to medium risk. Then you've got other investments which are high risk, but they will give higher returns. Okay. But the traditional problem is everyone likes to go towards property, but there's other forms of income that they
sure. But look, you know, these are my subjects and these are yours. So we could talk for forever.
For hours,
so I'm sure we'll come back and do this again at some point and talk about other sides of business.
Yeah.
Been an absolute pleasure having you.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for coming on the show.
No, loved it.
And sharing some of your views with our viewers. So guys, you know, Shah Hussain, if you guys want any form of advice and a no obligation, you know, chat with Shah or myself about business and anything, doesn't really matter. If you're struggling with something, just give us a shout.
Yep.
So that's it for the Kam Johal show for this week. We'll see you again very, very soon. Thank you for watching. Bye bye.